Hello and welcome to our channel, and thank you for joining me today. Our conversation today is a very important one, I think, especially in our accounting profession. So my conversation today with you is not going to be a more comfortable one or a much comfortable one. It is not going to be more of a motivational talk like we do in other videos where we talk about guiding you to become a chartered accountant, whether it's CA, SA, whether it's your ACA, whether it's CIMA, or whatever that is chartered wherever you are in your country. So we're not going to be talking much about that motivational stuff because it's already there and it's what is being spoken much in the industry, and when we are encouraging you obviously to become CAs. So we're not going to be doing that hype in this video, and it's also not designed to be selling you a dream really, but to address something that I think also needs to be spoken, because most people concentrate on the upside and encouraging just become a CA or blah blah, but they never talk about also the downsides of our profession and our industry. And I think if you want to prepare somebody and to motivate somebody to join or to become a CA or chartered accountant, they need to be told both the upside and the downside. So the upside is a wash. So many videos are encouraging candidates to either become a CA via SICA or any other CA bodies, or it could be via ACA, or it could be via CIMA. There are so many of those videos, and they'll be concentrating on the positive and the upsides. But in this video, I wanted to talk about the downside as well. So for many years now, the message around accounting, especially being a chartered accountant, has been overwhelmingly positive, like I'm saying. So we hear things like, you need to become a chartered accountant. It's prestigious, it's secure, it guarantees success, or it opens doors everywhere for you. And to be honest and clear, all that or a lot of that is true, because that's a good profession for sure. But what is often missing from the conversations is the full picture, because nobody brings the full picture to people, especially when we are speaking to students or young professionals and those who want to switch careers. They will just listen and find some videos that motivates them on YouTube, and then they will hear what they want to hear, which is the positive side, the money, the blah blah blah, which are true. But what about the other side? Because a person needs to know also everything about the industry before they actually make their decisions. So that matters, because choosing a career based only on the upside is one of the fastest ways people end up bent out, disillusioned, or questioning themselves some years down the ladder. And we don't want that to be something that you end up facing now some years down the ladder and thinking like, was I maybe listening to the wrong people and things like that. You need to make that decision sound, and because you feel like this is what you want and you are ready to grapple with everything that will come at your table. Now, so today we're going to have an honest, grown-up conversation about the downside of being a chartered accountant or the accounting industry. I'm not mostly concentrating on the chartered accountants professions, which are the CA, SA, the ACA, the CIMA, those all that are called chartered accountants. Now, because I am not trying to discourage you or to discourage anyone, but to prepare you properly so that you are aware of all the sides. Now, so because the strongest professionals are not those who were sold perfection, they are those who understand or understood the reality and chose the path with open eyes. And that's what I'm bringing to you. So we're going to talk about some points here, and the first point I'm going to talk about that you need to be aware if you are becoming or want to follow the chartered accountant's route is, first of all, the pressure of perfection in the industry. This is important, and it's actually a very huge thing in the industry, because you may underestimate it now, but you find it when you are done, or when you are now in practice or working, that this is a very serious thing. So one of the first realities that many people only discover once they are deep into the profession is the constant pressure to be right or to be correct. And because as a chartered accountant, mistakes or your mistakes are not going to be treated lightly, because they can be very costly. Your mistakes can be very costly for a company. It will involve a lot to correct your mistakes as a CA. So a small error can have serious financial consequences, legal implications, or even reputational damage for a whole company. Not just for you, but for clients, for employers, and some entire organizations or entire industry in some instances. So your mistake will not be maybe a supply chain. It's still costly, but it may not be the same with a supply chain mistake. Because if you, for example, you make a mistake in your financial reporting, it means decisions could be taken based on your financial reports or your financial statements that you produce, and a whole company or whole shareholders or whole stakeholders can base their decisions based on those. And if it's a mistake, then correcting that could have serious ripple effects across organizations and across stakeholders. So that's why I'm saying your mistake could be very, very costly than other professions. So now this need for perfection, or this desire, or this expectation on you to be perfect all the time, creates an environment where you are expected to be precise. You are expected to be thorough in your doing or in your work. You are also expected to take responsibility, even when decisions are complex or they are not your own alone, and even when information is imperfect. Because in some instances, that the decisions that you end up putting, for example, in your financial report, may not be your entire reasoning, although you're also required to abide by your ethics and stuff like that. So over time, this pressure does something subtle to you. It trains your mind to constantly check, recheck, and second guess yourself. And many chartered accountants carry this mindset beyond the office. Even at home, even on leave, the brain will struggle to fully switch off. You are always on constant and trying to feel like, or to see whether everything you've done is perfect and things like that. And this level of responsibility is not necessarily bad. It could be good for you as well, even in your life, but it can be heavy, and it is rarely explained honestly upfront, I think. And most people do not realize this or will not understand this. You need to understand right before you even make your decision to follow this career. Now, the second thing I want to talk about is the long hours and mental fatigue. I think people don't talk much about this. And that's another reality that deserves some honesty, especially in the intensity of the workload that you may face, especially in your first decade or your training period into your first 4 years or something like that. So it is particularly in your early stage or mid stages of a CA career. Now, long hours are not occasional or an occasional inconvenience. In many roles, they are part of the rhythm of the profession. So reporting deadlines, some audits that needs to be finalized, financial year-end closes, month-end closes, and things like that, some board packs, some regulatory submissions, tax filing season, and things like that. These don't wait for your ideal conditions or what you are feeling, your moods and stuff. They want to be done, and need to be done on time, because not doing them on time can carry significant penalties for the companies and the clients that you are serving. So you are not going to be looked at and think, when people think like, no, they are not feeling well, they are not doing well, they want to take a leave on this specific day. It's not going to be easy for you, because you are the one that is expected to be on the ground dealing with all those things. So it is very important that candidates and those looking forward to be in the profession are aware of such. Recently, there has been a story, a wash on the social medias of a audit manager who would let their trainees leave office around 10, somewhere in Johannesburg, in Carlton Center or somewhere there. And some of those trainees were traveling from Mpumalanga to Johannesburg every day or work, and they would have to leave at 10 o'clock. That's other things that you may need to understand that can happen in the industry. So what people often underestimate is that this is not just some physical tiredness that I'm talking about, to say, my body is not feeling well. It is even mental fatigue that I need to also address. So the work requires sustained concentration, judgment, and accountability. You are expected to be sharp even when you are tired, calm even when under pressure, and you need to be accurate even when time is limited. That's a very important thing there. You need to be accurate even when you are under pressure, when you are tired, or when time is limited, because time will always be limited for you in this industry. You are going to be given 3 weeks to do that audit of a big company and to compile that file. You are going to be given small time or short time to do those financial statements with a whole lot of IFRS stuff on them, and you need to be ready to be dealing with a whole lot of, maybe imagine a company that is into owning properties and maybe letting out as leases, and you have hundreds of those leases and they need to be accounted for. Think of that. And you need to prepare the financials, you need to prepare the taxes and things like that. Imagine the amount of IFRS, the amount of preparation of what you call the correct IFRS for leases and stuff like that. So that's what I'm trying to talk about. Now, without boundaries, support, and maturity, this can lead you into chronic stress, burnout, and anxiety around deadlines, and it can actually cause a trigger aspect in yourself, even in your normal life now, because you will get triggered by deadlines, you get triggered by this, you get triggered by that. Now you get triggered by almost everything in your working life, in your normal life. So it does not mean the profession is broken. No, it means it demands discipline and self-awareness, not just your intelligence. So you need to be aware of what's going to be happening when you get into the profession. And also, I cannot run away from the fact that some managers can be very bad people in some instances, because some of these things could be because of your manager or the people or the command that you're working at. But we also face good people who understands, who have got empathy, and who knows that this can take a toll on a person. Now, the third thing that I want to talk about is what we call the emotional weight of the role. It's more like what I just discussed, but in a different way. So that is the other side of the profession that is almost never discussed, the emotional weight. Because as a chartered accountant, you are often the person who sees the problems before others do, because the numbers don't lie. Now you see cash flow deteriorating, you see margins shrinking, you see compliance risks building, penalties building up, and things like that, things that could actually affect the whole company and make people lose jobs. Sometimes you see a business heading towards failure, and you can see it already with your, in the numbers. So, and you are expected to communicate this calmly, professionally, and responsibly. And even when the consequences affect people's livelihoods, affects jobs and the future, or their future, in other regards, their future and the future of the company. And remember, this could be a company that have got serious investor money, and that means those investors could still lose and fail. I mean, lose their investments and things like that. So this emotional responsibility accumulates over time. As you are growing and you're working, you are not just dealing with the numbers here. You are dealing with outcomes that can come out from whatever you are working on the numbers. You are holding information that carries a real world impact in people's lives, in business. So because it's quite a mature profession and it requires your emotional resilience and readiness to deal with information that comes to you, and still deal with it in a confidential manner. You cannot be expected to leak information, although you are going to be the first one to put your hands on it. So it requires your emotional resilience, not just your technical skill of being a chartered accountant. Now, the fourth thing that is also very important, I would say, the cost and the sacrifice of qualifying. I think this may be an understated or underestimated point, but I think that's a huge one here. So we're going to talk about the journey itself of becoming a CA, and I think most people romanticize this because they just want to drive people to go into the route, and depending on which chartered accountants profession or body that you are with, some routes may be much longer than the others. For example, if you are doing, let's say in South Africa, CASA may take you at least maybe 7 years to do, and if you are passing everything at once, but it could be the same also with the ACA, with CIMA and stuff. But if you are doing everything faster, it may be a bit faster, but still long considerably. Now, becoming a chartered accountant is academically demanding, time intensive, and financially costly. I mean, you cannot run away from that. It requires some years of study, multiple examinations, balancing work and learning, and living with, in some instances, delayed gratification for most of the people. Now, many students sacrifice their social life, sacrifice family time, personal freedom, and even mental well-being during the qualification process, or during this time of training, of studying, of writing those exams, those boards and stuff like that. So for some, this sacrifice is manageable. Also, it could be depending on where you're coming from, but for others it is overwhelming, especially if you are going to be funding yourself, or you are coming from backgrounds that are not well financially. Then it could be taking a toll, and it may take you even more years to complete. Now, the issue is not the difficulty of the profession. The issue is pretending the difficulty does not exist, or the difficulty does not exist. The qualification is absolutely earned, but it comes at a real personal cost, and that deserves some honesty, and you need to be aware of that. You need to be ready if you are self-funding, or you need to be ready if you are going to be looking for bursaries or things like that. Now, you need to be aware of that before you even embark on it. But if you are somebody who is switching careers, maybe to come to the CA, then it may be not a big issue, because we are expecting that you may be already working and you can fund yourself through it, or you could have some links to get the proper funding and stuff like that. Now, the fifth important thing as well, I think, is what we call the identity trap. Now, that is a part that also rarely gets discussed. I think I want to call it identity lock-in, or lock-in. So once qualified, many chartered accountants feel boxed by expectations. You have taken years and now it's time to be that CA. So you're gonna be feel boxed by expectations, and especially if things don't get to quickly turn out right, you're gonna feel that boxing, both internal and external, because for you it will be a matter of, you are a CA, you shouldn't do this, or you are a CA, you should do this. You're expected to be behaving in a certain way. You are a CA, you shouldn't take that risk, or you should take that route, or things like that. You are a CA, this is the path, this is the right thing. You cannot be seen here, you cannot be expected of that, things like that. So some professionals stay in roles they no longer enjoy because the qualification feels too big for them to walk away from, and to deviate from what they've been knowing and striving to get over these 10 years. Will feel like failure rather than your evolution. So to me, I feel like a qualification should expand your options, not trap your identity. It should be propelling you to become who you want to be, and it should be maybe becoming a best, because you can switch into any other things, in other roles, business, blah blah blah, but not feel like a trap. Now because I'm here, I need to be in that finance, I need to be that finance professional, I need to be that CA for this big company, and sometimes the work is daunting, the treatment is daunting, and things like that. So you feel boxed because you want to continue being called this. I call it the identity trap there. So you need to be able to expand your options and not being trapped by your identity. That's why guidance, exposure, and mindset development are critical in this profession. And I think here in this video, I'm just talking it shortly on this part, but I think that deserves actually an actual episode where I will talk more about this specifically. Now, the other thing that's important is why these downsides don't cancel the upside. I want to be specific here. I have to highlight these downsides the way I've highlighted, because I want somebody who is planning to get into the profession to be aware of things that can happen. Most people will be aware eventually, but they will be aware once they are already in. Maybe if they were aware before, they'd have chosen something different. I don't want you to be part of that now. But I want to stress out why these downsides do not cancel the upside. The upside is true, the upside is very good, and there have been so many videos talking about the upside. I just decided to also discuss the downside, so that I bring balance and to have people decide with knowledge. Now, talking about the downsides does not mean accounting or the CA profession, if I want to be specific, is a bad profession. No, it's actually a very good profession. It's a very serious profession. It means it's a profession governed by standards. It's a very serious profession. The problem is not accounting itself. The problem is selling the qualification without preparing people for the reality of the journey and the responsibility that comes with it. Now, when individuals enter the profession informed, supported, and strategically guided, these challenges can become manageable or more manageable. And when they enter blindly, many struggle silently, especially after qualifying or within. Now they have taken longer, they are within this profession, but they are now struggling, or they are not well emotionally, because there are some things that they should have been aware that they are just discovering when they are already in the industry. Now, we also need to talk about the role of proper training and support, obviously, for those that are in the profession. And this is when institutions and training, ATCs, training offices, and training academies matter. And here at CGMA Academy, we believe in honest career conversations like these. We believe in preparing our students not just to pass their exams. Of course, we offer tuition and training for those that are following ACA, CIMA, and those on that are also from CAs to come to join the CIMA and ACA routes. So I will obviously advocate for you to pass and to join us and to succeed. I mean, using our service and stuff like that. So, but we believe in preparing students not just to pass their exams, but to survive and thrive in the profession long term. So our focus, I think, should be on the long term. We don't believe in hype. We believe in building resilient professionals who understand both the rewards and the demands of the accounting journey. Now, accounting is not just about qualifying. It's about building a sustainable professional life. So if you are considering to become a chartered accountant, I want you to do it with open eyes, not because it is easy, no, not because it is what's the word, glamorous, not because it is the trending thing or the profession that you have been hearing growing up, but because you understand what it requires and you are prepared for it. So this is part of the preparation, so that you are prepared when you are going to focus and choose on this. So the strongest professionals are not those who were promised perfection. They are those who were told the truth and chose the path anyway. And that's when you know that this is something that you're called for, this is something that you want. And I want to thank you for listening, and please check out our other videos. You may learn one or two things, and please subscribe and support. If you are serious of becoming a chartered accountant and want guidance that is honest, that is structured and supportive, CGMA Academy is here to walk and to talk with you through that journey. And thank you for watching. Until next time.